Hader's a free agent, one of the best closers in baseball, but does he make sense to join the Cubs? Jon Morosi with MLB Network mentioned that it's a possibility. His former manager is now running the Cubs. But do the Cubs want to spend $80 to $100 million on a closer right now? Are they that close? We're going to talk about it right here on the Cubs baseball channel. We don't have it $80 or $100 million budget, but we do have a lot of thank yous, and we want you guys to be part of the Cubs baseball channel, and it's easy to do. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like Cubs content. Hit the bell so you know when we're dropping new shows. What do you say, everybody? I'm Mick Gillispie, and again, welcome to the Cubs baseball channel. Great to have you guys here as we talk Cubs baseball, and we try to do it every day for you. All right, let's get into this. Josh Hader to the Cubs. Is it a possibility? Josh Hader, of course, was a guy who was traded a few times in his minor league days, right? From, I think it was like Houston to Baltimore to the Brewers, and then eventually he broke in with the Brewers and he became their closer, and he was filthy. I saw him as a minor leaguer in Biloxi, and I mean, I'm talking about just nasty stuff, and that translated into the big leagues. And you guys know he's been one of the best relievers. And honestly, I don't know if Craig Counsell would want to have left Milwaukee had they not have traded him a few years ago to the Padres. Remember, it was like a shocking trade. The Brewers were like in line to make the playoffs, and all of a sudden they trade the best closer in baseball, and it felt like kind of a financial thing. Well, we're going to get rid of the salary, and so now he's a free agent, and he had an incredible year with the Padres last season. And the Padres, they didn't make the playoffs. They came on strong at the end of the year, but they had all these like star players. I mean, they spent a ton of money. And it didn't work, but he played great. 2-3 record, a 1.28 ERA at 31 saves. He's a lockdown lefty, and he's a guy who teams like Philadelphia would have had him this year. They'd have won the World Series. They didn't have a guy that could get those last few outs. That's why they lost to Arizona, and that's why they didn't win it. They had as good or a better roster than Texas. And Texas is a team that's probably saying, hey, you know what? We'd love to add him to the mix. They just won the World Series, but why not have a lockdown closer? They had some bullpen issues as well. Could some of the other big market teams look and say, you know what? We'll take it. We'll pay him, $80 to $100 million. I mean, why not? Right. If they feel like it's going to help them succeed, then why not do it? So yeah, a relief pitcher, not a relief pitcher, but a relief pitcher worth 80 or 100 million. Would the Cubs be a team though who would want to pay that, would want to invest in a reliever for that kind of money? And when you look at where the Cubs needs are right now, let me just throw this out there. Okay. Center field is a need, right? Because you lose Cody Bellinger. But you got two guys who could fill that role. Like if you were a small market team, you're not even looking for a center fielder. You're going to go Canario and Pete Crow Armstrong. You're going to be set there. Third base, you're going to go, okay, I got Matt Shaw, I got BJ Murray, and I got, some other guys, like I've talked about, Jake Slaughter. You can fill that spot. And then, one of those guys, you figure out who the best of those guys is. First base, you're going to throw Matt Mervis in there. You're going to need to go out and spend your money on starting pitching, right? I would also say this, I would probably invest if I could get a superstar DH, which the Cubs are actually trying to do with Shohei Ohtani. I would do that. Someone that a left-handed bat I could put in the 3 spot in the lineup and driving runs, I'd be fine with that, right? Because Christopher Morel strikes out a lot, and unless he figures out a position that he can play, like he slides over and plays first, or he figures out how to play third, if I'm running things, I'm just going to end up moving him and find somebody that can do that, and then going out and get like the kind of that star veteran bat to be the DH, right? So that having a guy that strikes out and doesn't make contact a lot, while the value is high on Morel. But when you look at the Cubs, the starting pitching, you don't have a whole lot coming up. So that's an area where you got to pay. You got to invest in it, right? What about a reliever? Like if you go out and you get Josh Hader, he's the best reliever, one of the best closers in baseball. Not only did he have the 31 saves last year, the guy had over 30 between Milwaukee and San Diego in 2022. He had 36 36 total in 2022. He had 25 for Milwaukee in 21. He's got 165 saves and a 2.50 ERA in 7 years in the big leagues. Like that's why he's going to command that huge price tag. But is that something that you want to invest in if you're the Cubs? Adbert Alzolay, before he got injured, was doing just as good of a job closing games. You can go out and kind of find guys to help out. I mean, think about where the Cubs bullpen was last year. Al Leiter Jr., it's not somebody you just drafted and developed. You didn't give up anything for him, right? Merriweather, same thing. Like you just kind of look around the league and just kind of find guys and plug them in, right? So is it an investment? Would it help you win? Yeah. I mean, think about it. If they would have had him last year when Alzolay got hurt, or maybe you team him up with Alzolay, you make the playoffs. But are the Cubs at that point right now where they're going to spend $80 to $100 million on a reliever and then, not and have the starting pitching to even get you there? I think that's what the question is. And honestly, I don't know the answer. I mean, he played with Craig Counsell, and that makes him valuable. Obviously, Craig knows how good he is. I've seen him. He's great. You guys have seen him. You know how good he is. But if you're the Cubs and you're looking at where your organization is this the best, use of the assets that you have? And Jon Morosi mentioned that, hey, you know what? It could happen. And I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I think it could happen too. I agree with him. I think it could happen. But if it's me, where I'm looking at where the Cubs are in that starting rotation, I'm trying to put my resources into the starting rotation and then maybe, piecing together the bullpen. Although if you did get Hader, I think it makes the job a lot easier, because it's like, hey, you know what? I'm not worried about closing out games. We already got that tabbed, and then that's just one less guy that you have to use, in the back end of the bullpen. And I think one of the problems that we had last year was there were only a handful of guys that got the pitch in the games that mattered. And, he would have kind of fit that bill. We just kind of had these same guys kind of coming in over and over again. And eventually those guys kind of, tapered out. But I thought it was worth talking about. I'm not telling you right now that that's where the Cubs are going to spend their money. But with Shohei Ohtani out there, a lot of this stuff is going to fall into place after him. Now, a point that I heard a couple people make is like, if you go out and you get Josh Hader, maybe that helps you get Shohei Ohtani, where he's like, hey, these guys are like, went out and got the best manager in baseball, they feel like, and now they went out and got the best closer. Maybe I should go there because they're really dedicated to winning. And that's true too. So and honestly, like $80 to $100 million is a lot of money. But if the guy keeps performing like he's been, and that he's going to lock down those close games in the ninth inning, I mean, it's worth having. Don't you think the Phillies would have liked to have spent that money last year, and instead of having Craig Kimbrell blow games in Arizona? Yeah. I mean, I think they would, right? And, and the fact that Texas is kicking the tires on him tells you that they feel like they won the World Series, but to get back there and win it again, they're going to need someone like him. So the teams that are like right on the cusp, this is kind of the last piece. So if the Cubs are there, maybe that's why you do this, and you feel like, hey, we were that close. We didn't make the playoffs last year, but we were out like at the last day. We go out and get this guy. And then, all of a sudden now it makes it a lot easier on the rest of the bullpen. We move Alzolay to the setup guy, Merriweather and Al Leiter Jr. slide in an inning, sooner. I think Palencia is going to be a better pitcher this year. You're going to see other guys kind of step up, Little, it wasn't too successful in the major leagues, but he is definitely a nasty left-hander that, maybe now that he's had that big league experience, he's going to be able to help out. That's what the Cubs are going to need if they're going to get over the hump. I don't think making the playoffs is the be-all, end-all. I think making the playoffs and being ready to make a run is the be-all, end-all. Where you're going in and you're like, hey, like the Cubs were in 2015. Like, hey, everybody was glad they made it. And then they went in and they stomped the Cardinals and, got to the championship series. That set them up for winning the World Series the next year. So you want a team that's able to kind of get in there and make something happen. Guys, I want to thank you for being here, as always, and hanging out with us, and remind you that right now our channel is brought to you by the Smokies baseball team. They won their first championship in 45 years. I just saw the championship ring rendering, so it's pretty cool just to see that. But anyway, the gear, look at this. Boom. They got all kind of gear there. Championship gear, smokiesbaseball.com/store with Christmas and Hanukkah, the holidays coming up. For a Cubs fan, you like all the Cubs gear, whether it's the city hat or, the Wrigleyville hat or the minor league gear, you like all of it. So check it out. Tell me what you think. And thank you for hanging out with us. And if you're not part of our channel, we just hit 2,500 subscribers, man. You guys have made this so much fun being a part of this, doing this thing. I never could have imagined that building this community was going to be so fulfilling, but it has been. I love the comments that you make. I love the passion that you guys have, because I have that same passion, and I love talking baseball with you guys. So keep it going. Thanks for being here. If you're not part of it, like and subscribe, and go Cubs.